Okay, so on today's show, I feel like I sound like Jeremy Kyle. Let me actually stop. Okay, on this episode, I have someone really, really exciting. I don't know why I'm talking like this. Let me stop. But I have someone called Mr. Michael Lee. He's a celebrity. He's very famous. And if you Google him, you will find him.
Okay, this is the famous one. Anyway, we move.
We have Michael here, and I know Michael from uni. So I've known Michael we're in 2020. I think I've known Michael for 8 years.
Can you imagine? A whole 8 years, sis.
Yeah, 8 years. The child is in primary school now. Like, there's a child that's yes, 8 years. Yeah, 8 years. Known Michael for 8 years. So what I want you to do, Michael, is tell us a bit about yourself. And then tell us 3 facts about yourself. It could be interesting, could be fun, whatever it is. And then we'll delve into today's topic.
Yeah, sure. So evening, morning, afternoon.
Wow, time zone. Sorry, that was, yeah. Hello. Yeah, hello.
Hi, wherever you're to this from. I'm Michael, 27 years of age. I am of Jamaican descent. My family are from Jamaica. And what else is interesting? I guess I'll talk about my line of work because that's what most people do. I come from a background of banking, but I have since started off my own venture now, and I work for myself as a trader / entrepreneur / creative endeavors, that kind of a thing. So that's what I'm doing at the moment.
Can you imagine? When people are now trying to find work, people have taken time out of work. What's the professional word for gap year? Sabbatical, Abby. That's what he's on right now. He's on a sabbatical. He's doing amazing. He's doing so well. Every day, like I see Michael's status, I'm just sitting in my house like, oh, this is nice.
That was that boy.
But it shows you're doing amazing. So today we're going to speak about a topic that's really close to your heart, close to my heart as well. And we're going to speak about traveling and hearing it from the present gen perspective. So before we delve into that, what did family look like to you when you were growing up? What was the idea of family? What did it look like to you when you were growing up?
Yeah, so I grew up with a very international family. And so so my dad was one of 9 brothers and sisters, and my mum was one of 7 brothers and sisters. So I had a very, very big family, but the thing is that we were all scattered across the world. So we had, for example, we're here in England, we had a few family members here, but most were actually in Jamaica or the US or Canada. So I found myself like going there very frequently, summers, that kind of a thing. I'm not going to lie, what my mum used to do is she used to drop me off at my grandma's in Jamaica and leave me there for the whole summer. I'll come back so that she can work childcare.
Exploring, yeah.
I used to be like, oh, this is just time for me in Jamaica. But really, I know she was just them coins boy during the summer break. You see what I'm saying? So it was, that's kind of what family was like. So I used to be quite like, kind of like, oh, I wish I had more family in the UK, because a lot of my friends had like big families in the UK. But I never really had that. I had to go on a plane to go and see my family. So I guess obviously linking to travel, that kind of took me into that sort of like exploration, kind of just as a byproduct of needing to go and see family at family reunions and that kind of a thing. So I think that's why I called the bug. My mum works for an airline, Delta Airlines, so she was always traveling and stuff. So that's kind of how that kind of formed into it, really. So yeah.
Okay, so when you were in London, was it your mum and dad at home? Did you have any siblings at home?
Yeah, so my dad, I have one older brother who's 13 years older than me. He actually asked for me because my parents were content with just having him as the only one. And he said, no, I want a little sibling. I want a sibling. And thus I was born. So that's... So
did you say he's 30 years older than you?
13.
Because you really said 30. I said, wait, what? I said, oh, okay, 13 years. Okay, so that's me and my older sister, actually. Not the second one, the first one. They're similar age.
People are like, they're a bit older, but like we're very close. Are you and your sister close?
That one, the phone a bit too much. Like, if you're listening, you're always up in my grill. I could say you're always up in my grill. Like, we know each other's whereabouts. Like, she lives in America, so we're quite close. The 3 of us, yeah, we're very close. So yeah. Okay, all right.
Be much so.
Yeah, and I think it's very fantastic that your mum was also working for an airline company because, child, those tickets are expensive.
So expensive. She
Yeah.
said to remember, she tells me all the time, she's like, the reason why she decided to apply for them, because she was like, the only way that I can afford to go back home is if I can work for that kind of a company where they you can get the discount and the free flights, that kind of a thing. So
Yeah.
that was her. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah, man.
amazing. Okay, so I think you've somewhat answered the second question. What did you go on family holidays? So as much as you went to Jamaica when you like for summer, did you guys ever go as a family to go to like anywhere but Jamaica, America, or Canada? Did you guys go anywhere else?
Anywhere else? Yes, we went to like, so family holidays. We did like Mexico.
Okay.
We did Mexico as a family. I vividly remember that one. Yeah, that was fun. So we did Mexico. We did, where else did we go? I went with my mum to Hawaii once. So this was, guys, please, all right. Do you know what? Yeah, because I don't want to be like, Hawaii. It was just like she because obviously she worked for the airline, she would get these perks. So I went with Hawaii once. But mainly we did like the France and that kind of stuff that you now come and do.
The ones that we're used to. You really went to do transatlantic. Jack in Hawaii. Can we talk about somewhere local, please? Because that one all of us can relate, you know.
That local environment, you know. We did like France and those kind of places. I'm trying to remember if there was anywhere else, but mainly it was that whole Jamaica, Canada situation. But we had done Mexico, Hawaii, and that kind of a thing.
Yeah. Okay. And how was that? I mean, like Jamaica. I mean, with Jamaica and the places that you're familiar with, that's family. But you've gone to Hawaii. They look a bit different. They sound a bit different. Mexico, they're definitely speaking different. We're not. I mean, I can't speak Spanish like that. The Spanish I know is from like Queen of the South, so it's not good Spanish, is it? It's all the naughty stuff. But how was that experience for you as a young person? Like you're going with your mum. Yes, your mum is there, but you're looking around.
Yeah.
How was that culture shock for you?
It was crazy. It was a culture shock, massively. I think for me, like obviously when going to like Jamaica and those places, you hit it on the nail on the head. Like it wasn't a holiday for me. It didn't feel like one. As much as, yes, I'm in a hot tropical country and all of that kind of stuff. It's like I'm going to visit family. It's kind of like when you go to Ghana, you're like, yes,
I'm going home.
Yeah. You know? And so I always identified, interestingly, more with being Jamaican growing up than I did with being British, just because that's where my home and my family were. But when we visited like Hawaii and Mexico and these places, it was really like, it was beautiful, it was stunning. But it was a culture shock in many ways because, of course, they don't speak your language. So there's that language barrier. You're also, obviously, a lot of these places aren't, you know, particularly used to seeing black people and that kind of a thing. So it becomes very like, okay, why are these people looking at me? Why are these people? At the same time, because I think the benefit of going when I was, because this is all when I was sub 10, right? So the benefit of going when I was that young is that I had the innocence to the point where I didn't presume anything about racism.
You're just going out, yeah.
Looking at me, you know, but now looking back on it, I'm like, okay, that's why, you know. But it was a culture shock. But I think what it did for me, which was great, is it broadened my perspective and showed me that there was more than London. You know, there were people living in completely different ways. Whether it is, you know, in Jamaica's beautiful and it's a wonderful tropical island, but there's also, you know, a lot of poverty in Jamaica as well. So it's just seeing how different people are surviving and living, and in many cases, other cases, thriving, but they don't live in London. Do you see what I'm saying? So because I know a lot of our parents, they moved from back home to over here in the UK just to be able to get a better life and, you know, make more money and that job prospects, all of that stuff. But you actually, for me, when I went abroad, I was like, wait, hold on, these people are enjoying. The weather is not great all the time,
but they're fine.
It's hard, like enjoyment, but at the same time, it's like they're living. Do you see what I'm saying? So it broadened my perspective that, okay, there's another way to live, basically. So I don't know if I'm going too in on your questions.
But that's what it should be. It shouldn't be. I went to the end. No, we need perspective. It's fine. It's actually alright. Okay. So next question. what was your perception of traveling overseas when you were younger in comparison to now? So I would say younger, pre-18. I'd say, I mean, you probably still get discounts from your mom, but
I have to. I said, Mom, that job.
we need to all enjoy. We all need to enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Please.
Exactly. But when you got when you started paying for your tickets, essentially, when you weren't dependent so much on your parents anymore, were you more careful of where to go, and like what kind of things influenced your decisions to go to certain countries?
This is so good. This is such a good question because I was talking about it yesterday with my friend. Right, you coming through with the questions. Come on, let's go. For me, yeah. Do you know what influenced me? So are we talking 18 and above or 18 below?
I'd say 18 and above, only because I would assume 18 is when you started to say you are going here, rather than your mum saying, hello, Michael, we're going here. You decide to make the decisions.
Yes. So what in terms of what influenced my decision, really and truly, I was heavily influenced by my work, by my colleagues at work. So like I said, guys, I worked in banking. I never know whether to look here or to look here. Maybe I should
look anywhere, because sometimes I look like I have a lazy eye, so I don't care, but you're listening, innit?
So long as you're hearing me, to be honest. So I was heavily influenced by some of the people at my workplace. So I was working in banking. I was working in Canary Wharf. So, very like banker's lifestyle, stuff, all of that. And one thing that I realized, I was like, these people, and again, just to be clear, like these are predominantly white folk that I was working alongside. I was one of the few black people in my team, which needs to change and is an issue. But what for me is one of the things that I realized with them is that they're very unafraid to go and just do some mad things.
They'll just do it. They'll just do it.
They don't care, they don't care. They will just, we're going here. One of them, I'll never forget, one of them showed me this video, of like some place in the Caribbean where you can like deep sea dive, but it's into like a black hole. Like,
why would you do that? Well, I mean, I get it, but at the same time,
if you want the video, Kuya, I'll send you the video if you want to put it in there. If you see the video, the guy is into a black hole just going deep. And he said, yeah, man, when you get down there, it's like there's all these like coral reefs. I was like, what the heck is that? So I should dive into hell to.
Do you know what I mean? Is that this one, when God said, wait for your time, you are saying, yeah, I'm going to fast forward.
But literally, outside of that, I literally was very influenced by where they were going. So some of them were like, okay. So if I'm talking, so let me rewind. So at 18 years of age and stuff, because obviously we were in uni and doing all of that. Like, obviously, in terms of travel, I remember I did like a few things like Barcelona for like a long weekend, because really that's all I could really afford.
I
was working in retail at the same time, so that was really what I could afford. I was like, okay, cool, EasyJet are doing this deal to Barcelona for a weekend. Let me just go with my boys, a few friends. If you just need like a study break, okay, I've done that essay I remember one time I'd like dropped in my essay that I needed to do, and I was like, right, cool. That weekend we'd actually gone away. So stuff like that influenced it. So it's definitely down to how much things cost. But that showed me Europe, because I was like, wow, where we live in this UK, there's actually we're so lucky. Like US people travel and spend so much money just to come over here and see Europe.
And do like a tour.
Like a whole tour. And us, we won't be going. We'll just, Spain, Italy, whatever.
You're lucky. Italy's a stretch. I'll go down to Spain for your car. And that's it.
Yeah, that lads are right. Yeah, they like to shake their head.
And Tenerife, and I'm just like, it looks dirty.
In fact, like when I was hearing that Tenerife and all of that, I'm like, I'm not really into that. That's not where I'm trying to go. But like the Italy's, the Greece, Turkey, whatever, and them kind of, I'm like, okay, Croatia, I heard is good as well. But that showed me Europe, and it made me go, okay, cool. I can travel and get some more insight and feel like I'm breaking the bank. You know what I mean? And it also broke up the uni experience, because uni's hard, man. So I always say, if anyone's watching this and you're at uni, once you submit that, whether it's your essay, whether it's your work, your exam, whatever, take yourself on a nice, cheap and easy trip with EasyJet and go somewhere, because it kind of like one thing that traveling does is it expands your horizon. Every time you go,
Yep.
expands your horizon. I always it's an investment into an expanded mind.
Yes.
Because obviously when you're on the tube and you're commuting and always if you're at uni and whatever, and you're over the tower, the tower cities and the tower blocks and the glass buildings and stuff, it can become quite like,
it's just really, like you're just really stuck with a structure and you're just forced to just work with it.
Facts. You're doing up tube and all of this kind of stuff, and you can become very like one-dimensional. Yeah. Whereas when you travel, you're like, oh, okay, wait, there's life outside of just this, So that expands your horizon. But that's what I was doing during the uni ages. Now, when I started to work and I'm getting more money and that kind of a thing, and I can afford, bigger holidays, what I used to do is literally, like I was saying earlier, take influence from my colleagues. They would be going to Sri Lanka, Japan, Bali, all of these different places. And literally, when they would come back, they'd be telling me about it. And I'm like, do you know what?
You don't want to come back and tell them about your experience, do you? Yeah.
Exactly. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think because I traveled, it seemed like I traveled so much pre my 18s, but really a lot of it was America, Jamaica, the same kind of places. So I was like, oh. And I have this app called Bean on my phone, right?
Okay.
Basically an app that you can download and you can tick off the countries that you've been to. So it shows you how much of the world you've seen. Okay. And I was like, one time I did it. I went through the app and I was like, me, I've only seen like 2-3% of this world, even though it seems like I travel bare and I'm always on flights, like pre-18, really, Jamaica, Canada.
It was like US, a cycle.
Cycle. And I remember there was one trip that I did, actually. I keep going back and forth on this story, but there was one trip I did that literally, I think is the reason why I got my corporate job at Barclays. Complete reason. Basically, my friend and I, we went to Ghana, yeah? And I said, listen, that place at my heart. So we went to Ghana, right? Because she wanted to do some kind of like, some sort of like teaching young kids, some sort of like building of schools, that kind of a thing, right? And I was like, that sounds phenomenal. I want to spend my summer doing that. So what we did in the after our first year of uni, this one was expensive, boy, but we managed, thank God. But we basically traveled from, we did Ghana and we did Ghana and the US. And the reason why we had to do the US is because we used my mum's discount and they fly to the US first before
they come to, yeah.
So we went to New York. That one, boy, we went to New York. The flight for Ghana was packed. So then we went to, Atlanta. We had to fly to Atlanta to try and get on one there. That one was packed. We had to then fly back to New York and get it was mad. But we managed to get to Ghana safely. Because when you're traveling standby, the thing when your parents like work for airlines, you're on standby. So you have to basically be.
No one cares. We will wait. We will wait. We don't care.
Yeah, and we was good. And then we got there. And so we spent 2 weeks like in Ghana and that kind of a thing. And them times there, that's when Azonto had just kind of bust out.
Oh, 2010, 2011. Oh, yeah.
Obviously, us coming over here, they were just like, wow, how do you not know these dances? How do you know all this stuff? So they were very confused because we went with a company called Projects Abroad. Okay. And obviously, as black people go in, they're kind of like, they normally expect Abroni people to come.
Yeah, to come, yeah.
Kind of like, do you know what I'm saying?
Brody is white people, just in case you guys don't. Just in case.
Brody is white people, if you don't know.
In Chi, not in every language. I beg, in Chi.
Yeah, if you're Yoruba, then what are the Yoruba called again?
I think that's the one they say. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, so they were kind of looking at us funny, but that trip, I literally believe, is the reason why I got my corporate job. And the reason why is because at the time Barclays were doing like a lot of what do you call it? Like it was a big brand in Ghana, and they were doing a lot of like social good because of what happened.
Like corporate social responsibility stuff. Yeah.
Because they wanted to make up for the fact that all this credit crunch stuff had happened, and they'd been, there was a couple scandals that had come out. Yeah. And so because I'd taken that trip and volunteered there, it put me in a position that was different to everyone else who's just getting grades and just going to top unis and whatever. Do you see what I'm saying? Because I didn't even go to a top uni. So that travel worked out for me well. Now, when I got to that place and the colleagues that are telling me, that's what influenced me basically.
Mm.
So I was heavily influenced by, at 18 plus, definitely the desire I wanted to go to Africa, and I specifically wanted Ghana to be the first country that I visited, because I just heard that the people were lovely. I just heard that it's the friendliest African nation, and I was just like, that's where I want to go. And deep down in my heart, I was like, okay, I'm Ghanaian, so let me
You really are, because the way you say man, like, yeah, I was just like, I don't mind. I'm very, very happy because
very happy. Yes, please. I just said, yeah, that was for me. So and I think as well, like, obviously these times going to Jamaica, I'd been to like Bob Marley's house and stuff like that, in Jamaica. And one of the things that they told you on the tour was that his mum spent 6 months in Ghana and 6 months in Jamaica. And I was just like, and then in his room, he's got like kente cloth and all of that kind of stuff in his room. And I was just like, this is powerful. Like, these are our people. And then when I watched his documentary that came out in the cinema, it starts off at the door of no return in
Elmina, Cape Coast, or Elmina, one of them.
Yeah, Elmina Castle or Cape Coast, one of them. The door of no return, and it talks about how Ghanaian slaves obviously taken to sea, going to the Caribbean. So that influenced me. I was just like, I need to go and see this place. So I went to Ghana, and then that year I also went to Jamaica. So what I always tell people is like, I did that whole, transatlantic.
Yeah.
I did 2 weeks in Ghana, came home, had like 4 days, and then did 2 weeks in Jamaica. Yeah. And obviously we'd been to the US via that time. So I was like, it felt like a kind of that thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's what influenced me then. But then when I got to work, it was definitely hearing my colleagues about, where they're traveling to and that kind of thing. So
it's very interesting what you've mentioned about Bob Marley, because his wife, Rita Marley's got a place in Ibri. I don't know if you saw it when he went to Ghana, but Ibri is like eastern region, so outskirts of Accra. It's like another region, but it's like they're really in touch with the Ghana side. And I wonder if they've traced their roots back to Ghana. I'm not entirely sure. But there's this whole thing, I'm yet to confirm. If the internet is lying, me too, I'm lying. But there's this whole connection with like most of the Jamaicans coming from Nigeria, not from Nigeria, from Ghana, migrating. So that's where most of the Jamaicans came from. And even the name Jamaica, there's some tree, Jamaica, something.
Yeah, there's actually a tribe in Jamaica who have, their dialect is like a mixture of Tree and Patois that they use. Listen, it's so interesting. Like, they live, I'll tell you the place, I can't remember it right now, but they live like in the hills in Jamaica, and they're so in touch. Like, it's like they speak a mixture of Tree and Patois. Like, it's like all mixed together. It's buff to listen to as well.
So wait, which ones are the Maroons?
Maroons are like the original Black people of Jamaica.
Okay.
And then obviously you have Spanish people inhabited Jamaica as well. And then obviously you have the transatlantic slave trade influence from Ghana, so on and so forth, where they were coming from. So it's kind of like a emergence of.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really interesting. So that was one of the reasons. I was on this kind of like quest for like ancestry and all of that. So that definitely dictated why I went to Ghana, because I was thinking, yeah, that's what I need to see. And yeah, what I felt so at home in Ghana. Like they loved us. Like, even them knowing that I was Jamaican, they were
excited. There's this obsession, You need to hear when they try to speak. Like,
yes, they were trying. But I gave them the black, because even me too, when I was trying to speak Tree, they weren't allowing me. So I said, beautiful, man. It's beautiful.
It's nice, and it's nice to, like, as much, there's some sort of reuniting, some reunion, something, even though it's been how many centuries later, we're still managing to get back together. And I think it's also beautiful that you felt at home when you went there. Because some might not feel that type of way, because they might still feel like they're in a bit of a foreign land. But I'm content and I'm happy that the Ghanaians that you met when you went there, like,
also many Jamaicans there. They were like on the trucks and stuff. There were Jamaican flags. They were like, you know how you guys at the back of like your chochos and stuff, you'll have like
messages.
Yeah. His Lord, or yes, his Lord, and stuff like that. Yeah, I'll see that, and then Jamaican flag there, and I'm like, right, my people are here, boy. Like, I was blasting on the radio. I was just like, this is great, you
We
know.
love it. Like, that's it. We love you guys. Probably a bit too much, but we love you guys. Like, any opportunity to slip Bob Marley and everything we're saying. I'm not even gonna try it now because it'd be very embarrassing. But you will happily go to a Guardian party. Not so much here, but in Ghana, you go to a Guardian party. They'll play all the Ghana songs, and towards the end, all you hear is Buffalo Soldier. You're like, okay, we don't mind, but you know.
Yeah, thanks,
Yeah.
man.
Okay, let me move on to the next one. So, I mean, you wouldn't get frightened because I think you've had to, like, I mean, there's still certain things that shock you, like when people talk about their experiences, like jumping in a black hole, like for lipstick. What the hell is jumping in a black hole? Well, like, do you get frightened like when people talk about their experience of certain countries they've been to? Does it turn you off? Like, I've heard. Let me see. I'm trying to think of a country. Okay, I'll tell you one random one. So I think I told my mum this when I got back. So 2012 when I went to Egypt, yeah. We did one boat trip, whatever. And then I can't swim. Yeah. I can't swim. I don't like water. I don't like it. Okay, I can't swim. I like the look of it, but I'm not gonna do it inside. And then they got to a part, they said, oh, snorkeling, you should try snorkeling. Michael, I don't know who sent me. This is the Red Sea. This is the Red Sea that I said, Jesus, I ain't got you. Moses parted, yeah? Not Red Pool. This is Red Sea. There's a picture of, I went to the side, yeah? And then after I got into the ocean now, I'm looking around, I'm like, oh, where's the shallow end? This is in the middle, yeah? In the middle of the ocean. And this was just before there was this guy that went away. I don't know who it was. There was this guy that went away and he drowned. Yeah, there was a story. I can't remember it. Oh, the sound I can't hear. Can you hear me now?
Oh, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Supposed to be the one that lifts you up when you thingy.
Wow.
It didn't lift.
I don't know what it was, but I had told my mum about this story before, and in that moment, I wasn't thinking about any story. I mean, I had all the floats and everything possible around me, but looking back, I'm just thinking to myself, that's probably one of the wildest things I've done, like snorkeling in the Red Sea. Would I go and do it again? No, because I now remember, I will never forget that story of that guy that didn't come back. And it was so unfortunate. Do you know what I mean? And the thing is, I heard he didn't know how to swim either. So who sent me to go? Nah, big bad thing. Who sent me to go and do? Who sent me to go and snorkel? I don't know. But things like that. Yeah, when you hear stories, I mean, put my story to the side, but when you hear something like, oh, this guy went here, he passed away, or there was this thing about one girl, I forgot what country it was, where she got with one guy and then she didn't come, so many stories. Does it turn you off, or are you like, nah, my mum brought me up right, I'm all right, I'm fine?
You know what, yeah, let me tell you something. You see Jamaican mums, yeah?
Uh-huh.
God. When news, I remember especially when I was doing all this Europe. But me just hear one story about one girl, she got France and she not come back and somebody take her away and da-da-da-da-da. And you're thinking, this will be just before you're going on a flight somewhere.
Yeah.
And them things definitely would scare me because I'm thinking, like, I'm going somewhere, and especially if it's just me, like, do you see what I'm saying? Like me and a couple.
Time. You don't need to tell me this now.
Especially like even the racism stuff as well. Like, you know, and do you know what? I remember, because there was one I went to Guatemala, right? Went to Guatemala, and I called my cousin and I was telling her, she's an older cousin, she's like in her 50s, but she's like, feels like she's my age. But we was talking, I was like, oh no, I'm going to Guatemala, you know. And she was like, wow, okay, that's amazing, phenomenal, yeah. When I came back, she told me, Mike, you know when you called me that time, she put down the phone and she was like, Lord Jesus God, where am I going Guantanamo Bay for? Where am I going Guantanamo Bay where they have the prison? I was like, it's not Guantanamo Bay, it's Guatemala. Lord God. And this is how they are.
Ghanaians too. Very much the same.
Shock your whole life into going anywhere. But one of the things that I always said is that I said, you know what, I'm a child of God, protected by the Most High God. I will be fine. Yeah. And one thing I made sure not to do is not allow the fear of what a potential place could be like stop me from going there. Because I just said to myself, I'm not it's not like I'm going there without protection. God is covering me. God, that kind of a thing. And obviously, I'm a Christian. So even when you're going on flights, you know what I'm saying? Like you're boarding the flight, you just touch that plane and just bless the plane just before, little prayer. But for me, what it was definitely like, even if I'd heard stories, I tried to not involve myself too much, like, you know, drowning myself in information about if planes have crashed and all of that kind of stuff, because it's just not good, like, when you're flying somewhere. But I didn't let it stop me. I didn't let it stop me. I said, you know what, if they can go, me too, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Do you know? I was just very fearless in that way. So, you know, down to, because Guatemala, the trip when I went to Guatemala, that was a solo trip that I'd done with a group of people. Your face, your face is cracking me up, bro. It's like,
by yourself, okay? I mean, like brave, like I'm amazed. I'm not scared. I'm like, rah, like you did it, because me, I don't think I can do it, but well done.
You now see why my cousin was like, where am I going there for? You just always say when you're going somewhere where it's not Jamaica or Canada or Florida, it's like, then you have family there? Well, yeah, I go there for. Like, it's like, I have family. I'm just wanting to explore somewhere else. But I went, basically, it was like me solo, but with a group of other solo people. So we were all going to be together. It was like a Christian trip, and it was all about like leadership and eradicating fear, and you're going to climb volcanoes, like, and all of that kind of stuff, yeah, which is all a very adventurous. I'm an adventurous person, but I said to myself, I'm not going to allow fear to stop me from going, so I'm just going to go. So yeah, to answer your question, I had reservations, but I thought to myself, you know what, if my white friends can go, it might be ignorant, but I said, if my white friends can go, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
And also, I wasn't going to no places where it was like, there's deeply entrenched racism. There was none of the places I went to, they weren't racist, historic places. Yeah, so I never experienced any racism when I went to any of these places.
Okay, so that leads me to the next question. Would you go to a country like Argentina?
I've been to Argentina.
Oh, sorry. How was that experience?
It was interesting. It was good because I did Brazil and Argentina.
Okay.
But Argentina, for me, I think I preferred Argentina to Brazil, you know.
Brazil? Really?
Interestingly, Brazil is nice as like it's beautiful. Both are beautiful. But I think just the vibe of Argentina, there was just something about it. It wasn't, I don't recall experiencing any racism there.
Okay.
There was the odd looks and stuff. The thing in Brazil is you won't experience racism because people will think that you're just Brazilian.
One of them anyway, yeah.
Just one of it, because there's so many black people there. So they'll just think you're one of them anyway. Argentina was a little bit different, but we didn't experience any racism like that. And I went with one of my black friends as well. So it's like, we didn't really experience racism like that. Maybe you get a couple stares just from like, I've never seen this before.
Someone like you before, yeah.
And Russia and stuff. I know there's like Nigerians and stuff in Russia.
Where are Nigerians, please?
Where aren't they? Is the question. But me, I wouldn't go to places like Argentina. I'm still a bit skeptical about places like Croatia because I've heard about racism there.
What about Venezuela?
Venezuela? Aren't there black people there?
There are black people everywhere, but it's a matter of whether they're okay.
Whether they're okay or not. I'd have to do the research because I'm not going nowhere where they're going to see black people and just think, okay, yeah, this is someone that we can just, do you know what I mean? But I knew with Brazil and Argentina, I wouldn't experience that kind of a thing. So definitely do your research is what I'd say.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I just feel like nowhere is safe. I think London, our ignorant side is like, yeah, you know, London is popping. But the truth is, we have our own struggles too. Like, there's some people that are scared to come here. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know why this microphone is really bugging. Sorry, guys. There's some reactions that...
Do you know what it is? My Zoom, whenever someone's talking, it doesn't... It's like it blocks it. It's like it only lets one person talk at a time. I know, it's so stupid.
Why? I like the reactions.
You trust me. So it gets a bit like, stop starting. But you can go to Jamaica, be a black person, go to Jamaica and experience like hatred. It's hard, but you know what I mean? It's just, it's you can go anywhere. People can come to London on a trip and be, like you said, be attacked.
Exactly. And they have no option but to just like, London's not perfect. Like, as much as we're screaming, oh, some places are dangerous, oh my God. No, we're not perfect. We're actually not perfect. And I'm just trying to think of another country. Like, when we went to Panama a few years ago, my friend and I went to Panama a few years ago. I loved it. Panama, I think Panama and Colombia. Colombia is like my top.
You've been to Colombia?
Child, I did that.
I was on my list, you know. Tell me. What was it saying? Tell me.
Listen, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was excitement, but I was so gassed, yeah. I've never felt this way about any country in my life before. I mean, yeah, Ghana, whatever. Like, Ghana's home, innit? But Colombia,
wow.
Honestly, to this day, I don't know. But I think, like I said, I was going to go back. Mm-hmm. I think the part that got me was meeting like a youth organization out there, and I think that's what melts my whole body. Like, the history that place had. I only went to one city. I went to a place called Cartagena.
Okay.
And then after Cartagena, we went to this place called San Bastia, I think it is. Child, I'm gonna listen. That's a whole conversation. That's a whole thing together. Like, and it's just like, it was just so interesting to hear about the Black people that migrated there and how they were braiding their hair to use it as a map for the Black people, the Black men to escape. Child, and how what else? What was it? Like, so much. I wish I could even do a 3 conversation so I could get my other friends to come on the one I went with. But it was just nice to see some of us there. And like, there was this lady, she was selling fruit. She looked like a Ghanaian woman. And she saw us and she's like, my sister. And I wasn't phased because I was like, yo, sis, yeah, we're related, you know. We're related. But it's just like, it was just so beautiful. Colombia I love that country. Like, I love that country. But it was the guy that was taking us around some of the places, he was just like, yeah, there's one area, which is, I think is what, Copa Grande, I think it is. It's like the affluent area. And there was this footballer, this NFL player, he's of Colombian descent. And he was from the projects, from the ghetto. Before he went to NFL, he made it. He's come back, Black guy. He's come back and he's made enough money to buy a property in that area. But he struggled to get a property in that area because of the color of his skin, even though he had the money to pay for it. And it's just like,
that entrenched racism is mad, because I love hearing you talk about that, because a couple of things came to mind. Like, firstly, there's just something about that Latin culture. Like, it's very similar to how we are as well, like as Black people. But it makes me think of, like, and please, no one should now come and say that I'm doing conspiracy, but you know, like how when you look at Africa and you look at South America and you together and they're a puzzle, and obviously breaking away the tectonic plates and that kind of a thing. That's why I feel like we feel so at home there. And that's why, like, yeah, like that's why our people are there. Obviously the trade and, you know, people migrating there as well, but that's why our people are there as well. And I think yeah, it's like even Colombia and Panama, those are on my list, and that I'm gonna come for you for all the tips, fam. It's just
like, I mean,
it's like, fam, like, this is mad. Like, this is the world. You know what I'm saying?
As in, there's so much to see. If I could afford it, like, if there was a corona, I'll be on a plane every 2 months, just exploring. There's so much to see out there, and I feel like the more you travel, the more you check yourself. You know, you check yourself and you realize, wow, I'm really just atom. That's what you are, literally. Like, I went to Panama and I'm looking around and it's like, you're not, like, they weren't looking at us twice or anything. Like, Colombia, they were serving wache. You know what wache is?
Wache. Wait.
Do you know what's magic is how they cook it? So how they acquire their color, the guy was saying something about burning brown sugar to get the color. Whereas we use the sorghum, I think it's called sorghum leaves in English, to get the color. And if you want more color, if you want to cheat, you can use bicarbonate soda to get the purplish color. But they had that in. When I went there, I was like, because you know, sometimes you're going to a different country a bit concerned about food you're going to eat, a bit suspect. But then they had fish, fried fish. Like, it was like I was sitting at literally Labadi Beach or something, and that's what it felt like, you know. And it was just mad. But I'm getting too excited. When we start speaking about Colombia and Panama, I get really excited.
Even like with their like making like what they call it plantanos over there, like
yes, and they smash it
down, and they do, and I'm just like, this is just us. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, so phenomenal.
Yeah, and it just goes to show, no matter how you can, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like a family. When you split a family, like probably even at birth, and they don't know each other, whatever it is, there's always going to be that bond, isn't there? There's always going to be that connection, and you can't. Who are you to come and separate? Who are
You
you?
can't. You can't. It's beautiful, man. It's beautiful, it makes it. That's why I always encourage black people as well. Like, don't be afraid of that South America boy. Like, go. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, you get there and be like, rah, these feel like my people.
Yeah, yeah. And there's no cocaine at the doorstep. I think there's a lot of people like.
That like everyone thinks, oh, you're gonna get there, then cocaine is just gonna be falling down from the sky. Like, come on, man. Like, it's just man.
You need to stop watching Queen of the South and Narcos, or whatever they call that show.
Guys, relax, okay?
It's like when we went there, we did it like Colombia's, but obviously we got their negative connotations or whatever. When we went there, like I think it took days. We didn't see it, but we went out one time. The guy was just like, "Oh, well, I've got this if you want it." And I'm like, me and my friend were like, "Whoa, what's white coffee? What's that?" And they explained what it was. They were like, "Oh, man, we don't want that."
What they call it? White coffee.
Well, this guy called it white coffee. I don't know if there are several names for what it is, but this guy called it white coffee, and it took us a while to catch on. I was like, okay.
Sorry to interrupt, but I mean, this conversation was too juicy, so watch out for part 2 next week. See ya.